Hello, I'm Darren Hardy, entrepreneur mentor and publisher of Success Magazine, and I want to welcome you to Insane Productivity. This is a 12-part series on how to achieve extreme levels of personal productivity. This is where you'll learn to produce insane results, insanely fast, sanely. Welcome to Module 3. Hey, did you do the sprint and recovery sessions? How'd it go? Incredible, right? Don't be alarmed if it was tough to do the first few times. Now the key is to be consistent in doing them each day throughout each week. Like Stephen King said when I interviewed him, he said, "It's not hard to write, it's hard to sit down to write." That is what you will find with any critical discipline you're trying to institute. It's not that hard in itself. Hey, you aren't digging ditches or performing a raid on an insurgent compound in Afghanistan, for crying out loud. You are sitting down to focus and concentrate on one project for 90 minutes. Trust me, there are harder things that you could be doing. The hard part, at least psychologically, is forcing yourself to sit down and do it, and stick to it for 90 minutes straight. Look, I know it's tough. I wrestle with the temptation to skip it every day. Having this be a challenge is normal. Just know that. Then, just do it anyway. Okay, we have an insanely great session coming up. Something novel, in fact. You'll understand that here in just a second. Grab your pen and your pad and let's rejoin the summit now. See, it's not the time that you put in, it's what you put into the time. You can use the same time but have higher impact. It's like going to the gym. You ever see those people at the gym where they just do this on the treadmill for an hour and a half watching TV while they do it? Where somebody else is over there doing interval training, and kettlebells, and they're sweating and grunting, and they do like a 30-minute workout, and they got like 10 times the result that the person who's on the treadmill who put in an hour and a half doing this. See, it's the same time, but it's what you put into the time. And the difference of what you put into the time determines what you get out of the same time. That's why people can spend a lot less time working and get a lot more result because of what they put into the time. And I want to encourage you to find what are called your power hours. So power hours is when you are most powerful mentally, your focus, your concentration. Because everybody has different biorhythms, right? Everybody said you have to work out in the morning, first thing in the morning. It's so awesome to work out first thing in the morning. I tried it a few times and it just didn't work for me. It's just not my biorhythm for some reason. I don't know why. Because I wake up and my mind's on fire. My body's like, just give me a few hours, right? And so I figured out that first thing in the morning is when my mind is ready, but my body is not. And then I'll work throughout the day, and then about 4:35, my mind says, please leave me alone. And my body says, we got to get this stress out. And so I work out 4:35. So I had to figure out my biorhythm. You figure out yours, particularly when it comes to focus and concentration. So I'll give you an example. This is an actual snapshot of a future calendar down the road. And I have these blocked into my calendar. These are my power blocks. And my assistants and staff and everybody who schedules things on my calendar does the best that they can to schedule things around these. Now, every once in a while, it gets interrupted. But they have to ask me if they can interrupt one of these power blocks, because I need to determine whether it's more important than a power block. The one that they can never interrupt is the first one. Nobody wants to interrupt that one anyway, because it's so early in the morning, which is why it's a great one. But that one is non-negotiable, okay? That one happens every single day. So I want you to find your power blocks and then block them out. And you can let everybody know it's tentative, but you have to ask, because in these moments is when I have the best focus and concentration. So I'm good first thing in the morning, and then I've got to go and clear the fires out and do the communications and all the rest of this. But I can go back in just before lunch. For some reason, I could go back in. So I got a good little block there. And then before I go to the gym, it's just like that light at the end of the tunnel. I feel like I want to just give one hurrah, one little punch to the day before it's over, so I can kind of get back into mode at the back end of the day. That's just me. Figure out your 2 or 3, put them on your calendar. Big tip, by the way. My personal peak performance partner, Landon Taylor, good friend for 22 years, is in the second row here. He's also a graduate of our High Performance Forum. This is the second time he's attending this summit as well. So if I have these little side conversations, you know the man I'm talking to here. So it is your responsibility to train the people around you. If people are interrupting and distracting you, it is your fault because you haven't trained them well. See, your whole life is an outcome of what you tolerate. Life will organize around the standards that you set for yourself. You get in life what you tolerate. People talk to you as you tolerate. People treat your time as you tolerate. And so this is a hard thing for people to swallow, but everybody responds, reacts, and interacts with you as you tolerate. So I remember I was in this important meeting, and this guy who's this great authority, and we had this meeting, and he said something that I thought was pretty snide in the meeting. And so after the meeting, not during the meeting, let him save face, I said, hey, I know that at times these meetings, there's a heated debate and so forth, but I just want to let you know it's not okay for you to talk to me like that. That moment, I gained instant respect from him. And he disrespects people all the time in meetings, never me. And people have said, what is it? Is he afraid of you? No, he knows that I won't tolerate that, and that's okay. So here's how it works out. All your behavior is training those around you how to treat you. If you respond to email rapidly, you're training people that you will respond rapidly. If you only respond during designated times, you're training people to not expect to get an email from you until those designated times. If they knock at the door and say, do you have a minute? And you say, no, I do want to speak with you, but let's schedule a time so I could be so focused on what you've got to talk about because I'm focused on something else right now. Or if you say, yeah, I've got a minute, they know that every time they come to the door, they're expecting that you do have a minute. Calls, I never answer a live phone, ever. Unless it's my wife, I see specifically who it is, I never answer a live phone. There's never a moment in my life where I'm just sitting around with absolutely no agenda. Nothing I'm working on, nothing that is important in my life, just hoping somebody is at the other end of a tether to have me answer a phone. Never. So they can leave a message, we can schedule a time when it's convenient for both of us to talk. Showing up late, Landon knows this. This is one of my pet peeves. I just have a 10 to 15 minute rule. We set where we're going to meet. If you're more than 10 to 15 minutes late, I leave. No questions asked. I have this one friend who is notoriously late for everybody in every area of his life. I mean, notoriously. So we met to meet at this one place, and not Landon. And 15 minutes came up, I left. So he gets there and he's like, hey, where are you? I'm here. I don't see you. I said, I left. He says, what do you mean you left? I said, well, after 15 minutes, I just assumed you weren't coming, so I left. Well, turn around and come back. No, I got other things to do now. He's never been late for an appointment with me again. He is still notoriously late for everybody and everything else in his life, except me. Because I trained him of what I will and won't tolerate. See, if you're late for a meeting with me, it's one of two reasons. Either you're dead or you want to be dead to me. It's just one of the things I don't tolerate, right? And it's funny. Life will organize around the standards that you set for yourself. From the mailroom to the CEO. CEO says, I started out in the mailroom. Now I'm the CEO. And now he's doing his own email. He's right back in the mailroom. When you respond to someone's email, you're responding to someone else's agenda. Email should be avoided for all time-sensitive and urgent information. This is the thing. Somebody told me this, and this really got me out of my email addiction, because this was my one kryptonite. People who attend to email vigilantly and respond immediately are probably also delivering lower quality output on their real work. Yeah, yikes. Teach people how to communicate with you. My personal voicemail says this. If you call my office line, it says this. Hi, you've reached the private line for Darren Hardy. These messages are not retrieved. Please send me an email or, if urgent, a text message. If you're a pal, you'll have that information. Thanks for calling. My voicemail is full, and you can't even leave the messages anymore. I just don't ever want to pick up the phone, ever. So let me just show you how to get in touch with me. You can email, and if it's urgent, you can text me. But that's it. So you teach people how to communicate with you. And then once you set the rules, do not break them. And here's what I want to promise you. People feel safer knowing the boundaries. It may seem harsh at the time. No, I don't have a minute. Let's schedule a time when it's productive for both of us. No, I'm not going to pick up a phone. Yes, I left because you were late. At the time, it seems harsh. But in the long run, it reduces stress and uncertainty. So there are times, like as a parent, where you've got to create a hard boundary, and you even feel bad about it because it's like it seems a little harsh. But you know, once you set this boundary, you can't break the rule. Because once you break it, they'll just overrun you, right? And so kids feel safer knowing the rules. They need rules. They want rules. They feel safer having the rules. Well, we're all just big kids. We all feel safer knowing the rules, how to communicate with other people. So, put them in place, defend them, and then everybody else will feel safer as a result of it. And then lastly, realize that people go around all day trying to give you their monkey. They have these monkeys on their back, all these problems, stresses, and so forth. They walk in your office, they start talking about their monkey. And they're talking about their monkey, and they leave. And you're like, wait. You forgot your monkey. Don't just drop off your monkey here. And the classic example I use is my dear friend Richard Del Maestro in the back there. He is the guy, he owns a production company, audio studio, real close to my house here. He's actually the guy that produces all the audios for Success. All the Success CDs, all the Success audio series, my audio book for The Compound Effect. His company is the one that produces and engineers all the audio sound. So by the way, if you have an audio book you want to do or an audio program you want to do, you definitely want to hire that guy because he's the best in the business. I wouldn't work with anybody else but him. So now that I have said nice things about him, let me now tell you this. So we interview this fantastic entrepreneur and you get all these ideas. I come out of the sound booth and he's like, you know, my business, I want to try these marketing things, but I don't know how to do this. What do you think about this? And I'm not sure if this will work. And, you know, what would you do in this situation? And we're talking about ideas. And then finally I get released. And I'm in my car. And all of a sudden in my head, I'm like strategizing ways to solve his problem. And he could do this and I could do this. And I find myself going, oh my God, I got his monkey. He gave me his monkey. All of a sudden my mind's consumed solving his problems when I got the whole world of problems to solve of my own. And that's what people do. And they don't do it intentionally. He wasn't even asking me really to take his monkey and solve his problem and come back with a solution. But I took it on anyway. And men are the worst. Because all we want to do is going around and solving everybody's problems, right? And being the white knight. And you take on people's monkeys. And all of a sudden, you're walking around like this. Like Atlas. You got the weight of everybody's monkeys on your shoulders, right? So let me show you. Oh, this could be such an epiphany for you, as it was for me. The way to give back everybody's monkey. First off, listen with compassion, empathize with them, and then leave the conversation with this. I'm sure you'll figure it out. And then leave. That one line says two things. It says to the person, here's your monkey back. And it says to your own brain, here's your monkey back. Don't take this out with you. That one line, I'm sure you'll figure it out. I'm sure you'll figure it out. And you can say it with compassion, hey, I'm sure you'll figure it out. You go. Out. Right? Save you lots of stress, pain, and sadness on the other end of that. So write down who you might need to stop tolerating. What you might need to stop tolerating. Write down at least 3 things. So now that we've talked about doing the sprint part of the productive interval, now let's talk about the part you're going to struggle with the most. Because everybody in this room are ambitious achievers. All of you do not need to be told to work more. Work longer, okay? The thing that you will be challenged with the most, though, is being able to focus on this recovery. And it is one of the most important elements of being able to put yourself in a state of high performance. Interesting study done in 1998 by the U.S. Army. They had 2 groups that they tested over 3 days. Group number 1 on the rifle range got to shoot at the target as often and as fast as they could without taking a break. Group number 2 were forced to take intermittent naps and breaks through the 3 days. So the result was, in day 1, Group 1 was in the lead. Day 2, Group 1's accuracy started to fade. By day 3, Group 2 took the lead for good and won by a significant margin. Obviously proving that the outcome is
Taking breaks and intermittent naps increases effectiveness and overall results, even if less time is spent shooting. Leonardo da Vinci, one of the great geniuses of history, put it this way: the greatest geniuses sometimes accomplish more when they work less. To his particular quote, he says, "It's a very good plan every now and then to go away and have a little relaxation. When you come back to work, your judgment will be sure, since to remain constantly at work will cause you to lose the power of judgment." If you are a trainer for an Olympic athlete, you have two sides of the training: the training part and the rest and the recovery. And for an obsessive person who wants to be an Olympic athlete, you do not really have to push them to train. They'll do that. They're obsessed with training. The thing that you will have to become more dogmatic about is forcing them to do the rest and recovery. Because you know that in order for them to operate at their highest performance, rest and recovery is as important, if not more important, than the actual training regimen. Because if you overtrain, you get diminishing results. You actually start buying back some of your progress. Same thing at the office. For you to operate at high performance, the maximum output, the maximum creativity, with the maximum focus, with the maximum results, rest and recovery is as essential, if not more essential, to your performance than the actual working is. Because your body craves oscillation. It can't have this homeostasis. It can't stay there. It has to have oscillation. So if you do not create oscillation of intense focus, high energy, and then rest and recovery, it will crave it and push you to find it otherwise. In coffee and energy drinks and the rest of the stimulants. And then it will also require you to come down, whether that is alcohol or drugs or even sleeping pills, in order for you to oscillate down. The problem is the absence of disciplined and intermittent recovery. That's your problem. Chronic stress without recovery depletes energy reserves. It leads to burnout and breakdown. And ultimately, it undermines performance. And the greater the performance demand, the greater the need for recovery. So if you've had an awesome, focused, concentrated, intense day, your rest and recovery needs to extend as well in order for you to replenish, revitalize, and be refreshed so that you can get back to that state of intensity again. So let me give you a game-changing mindset shift. And this will challenge every fiber of your American conditioned mythology. You get paid to rest. When you are resting, you're getting paid. Because in order for you to operate at high performance when you're working, rest and recovery is just as vital and as important. So your rest is part of the regimen of your performance. So when you're resting, you're making money. My wife was interesting a few months ago. So the Masters was on, the golf. I'm like, okay, this is my time. This is my blocked out rest and recovery time. So I'm watching the Masters, sitting in my favorite chair, on the couch. She's out running around, the household stuff, running around doing crazy things, right? The last thing a wife wants to do is see her husband sitting there, So I had earlier hired a guy to come over to wash my car. Pay him $60 to come to my driveway to wash my car and she sees the guy. Who's this guy? Why is he washing your car? Here you are sitting on your butt and he's washing your car. Why can't you wash your own damn car? And I said, you see this right here? I'm getting paid. I'm making money right now because my time per hour is a lot more than $60. And in order for me to go back to my office come Monday morning and operate at my highest level, I have got to replenish, revitalize. I have got to take my brain off the grid, off the matrix, and I've got to rest and recover. So as you see me sit here, know that I am getting paid. And I am saving us money by paying him $60 to wash my car. Because that is, for some people, people love it, and that's part of their rest and recovery. Not me, I hate it, it's work. It would just add to the frenetic energy for me. So know that you get paid to rest. Here's another game-changing mindset shift, and Landon alluded to this. If you want to go faster through your day, here's the key. Relax. And I learned this in spin class. They do these intervals, right, where you're going along, okay, for a minute, just flat out, for a minute, go. So I'm like, okay, the minute comes up, I'm going like this. She says, the key to going faster is to relax. I'm like, what? And she goes, relax. And I relaxed like this, and I sped up. Because what happens is, when things get intense, you bear down and tense up. And your muscles become rigid, and the pressure goes to inefficient places, causing massive performance problems. What happens is when you bare knuckle it like this, now the energy's going through your whole body like this, and it pulls it away from where it's needed. When you relax, all of a sudden, the pressure can go where it's needed most, which is in the legs. And now it can just stay focused, and the rest of it's relaxed. And the more you relax, the faster you go. Same thing inside your office. When things get intense, and things start moving around, the fires are happening, the best thing for you to do is to relax. And then just start paying attention to the things that matter the most. Be the eye of the storm. The storm can be spiraling around you, and what you need to do is, instead of getting caught up in the storm, which is what the rest of us do because we love it, it's thrilling, is to relax. And if you relax, you'll go faster. You'll actually speed up your productivity. There's an interesting study that Fred Shoemaker, who wrote the book Extraordinary Golf, did. He was comparing amateur swings with professional swings. And the interesting thing was that when the amateur was filmed taking a practice swing, it was very similar to a pro swing. Like, you couldn't really tell the difference between an amateur swing and a pro swing. The difference was a pro can swing relaxed when the ball's on the line. That's the biggest difference between an amateur and a professional. It isn't technical. It isn't all this training. It is simply the pro can stay relaxed when the ball's on the line. The typical response to anxiety is applying extra effort, spiraling even further, getting us nowhere twice as fast with 10 times the pain. Mark Twain put it this way: having lost sight of our goals, have you ever been in the middle of the day and you're not sure what you should be doing? We redouble our efforts. The opposite of what you should do typically. So, understand that less effort accomplishes more. Less striving, less trying, less racing, less pushing can lead us to surprisingly better results. Just as I mentioned to you, when I meet these uber achievers, they're applying less effort. They are relaxed, they are comfortable. You ever see even movies about presidents and kings? They got the weight of the world. They're relaxed. They're relaxed because that's how you stay the eye of the storm. That's how your judgment stays sure. In summary, if you want to go faster, what do? Slow down. When things get urgent, what do? Relax. If you want to get more done, what do? Apply less effort. So I want to present a challenge to you. Here's the challenge. Schedule time to be productively unproductive. Schedule time. So to prevent the questions that are coming, because I had people come up to me at the break going, I don't understand how to do nothing. What do you mean do nothing? What do you do when you do nothing? That was the question. What do you do when you do nothing? That is how hooked into the achievement addiction most of us are. And I promise you, if you thought about this for a while, you'd be like, yeah, I'm not really sure how to be productively unproductive either. What does that mean? I'll give you an example. So trust me, I know how hard this is because this is one of the hardest things that I have to do, is to rest and recover and be unproductive, right, so that I can rest and recover. So a couple of years ago, in order to force myself to do this, I had to actually leverage my achievement addiction in order to de-hook myself from my achievement addiction. So my goal was to spend at least 45 minutes just doing nothing, okay? I don't know how to do nothing. So I said, well, let me use my achievement addiction. So what I'll do is, my goal is to see 50 sunsets before the year is over. And so in order to document it, I would, when the sun came down, I would snap a photo. Well, in order to see a sunset, you got to get there early enough, and it takes about, start to finish, 45 minutes. And so during that whole time, I just sat there waiting for the sun to set. And then I got my photo, and I uploaded it to Facebook because I made this public declaration, which is another anchor, by the way, public declaration. And so as I was going along, my goal orientation achievement mindset, so I'm going to blow past 50. So now all of a sudden, I'm getting more of these 45-minute segments, which is awesome, mission accomplished. And I ended up at 89 sunsets. Somebody just sent me the coolest gift. I forgot to bring it back from Dallas. But they took all the 89 sunsets that I had posted up and put it into a hardback book and sent it to me, which I thought was super cool. But the point is, what do you do to be unproductive? I don't know, watch a sunset. I don't know, go for a walk with your dogs. I don't know, go for a run. Call a friend. Watch a movie. It means just taking your brain off the matrix of your goals, ambitions, responsibilities, and tasks, and applying it to something else. That's it. That's it. Don't get so hung up into like, what do I have to do to be unproductive? No, just anything that when you're not thinking about work is awesome. That's all you got to do. So I'm sitting there watching the sunset, and I can feel the frenetic energy that was built up through the day. And it's like you're like a kettle where you boil water, and you got a lid on it, and all of a sudden the lid starts rattling. Well, most of us get that way, like about 4 or 5 o'clock. You were talking about getting like 8 o'clock, lid's rattling. And all it does when you do nothing is it just takes the lid off and lets the steam out. And all of a sudden now you got this space, this gap. And this gap is where finally creativity can come through. But if the frenetic energy is taking up all the space, there's no room for concentration, focus, or creativity. So doing nothing is just taking the lid off and letting the steam out. That's all. Okay? Whatever it takes for you to do that, awesome. Why is this so tough? Let me tell you your challenge. While nonstop work is overwhelming, it's also reassuring. It makes us feel busy, valuable, and indispensable. Getting away and not being needed raises all sorts of insecurities. That's why it's tough for you to sit there, watch a sunset, and not want to look at your phone and say, does somebody need me?
Okay, you could see that this was a big session, packed with strategic ideas and advice on daily methods of operation. Many times faced with too many ideas, we become overwhelmed and stunned into paralysis and don't do anything with what we just learned. So, let me summarize the half-dozen key ideas and suggest an action plan for you this week. Are you ready? You might want to write this down. Number 1, separate the world from your world and turn off all information inputs that are tearing at your precious time and your creative capacity. Make a list of at least 10 things that you're gonna turn off. Magazine subscriptions, all those but Success Magazine, of course, newspapers, RSS feeds, mobile alerts, newsletters, opt-in email lists, news radio listening, TV news watching, tweets, Facebook notifications, emails, etc. If you really want to kick butt, go for 20. I promise you, if you think and look around you really close, there are a lot more tugs and pulls on your attention that suck you into the world and have nothing to do with the goals, dreams, and aspirations of your world. That's number 1. Number 2, make a list of all the behaviors you want to stop doing. Now, create ways to make it hard for you to do those things. And then make a list of the behaviors that you want to start doing more of and strategize on ways to make them easy to do and as decisionless as possible to do those things. Number 3, pick the one habit you're going to focus on changing. As I mentioned, just one at a time, and by the end of the year, you will have changed 17. Imagine that. Imagine the complete transformed person you will be with 17 total habit changes. But forget all of that. Just pick one now and commit to starting it today. Number 4, make a short list of those things you won't tolerate any longer. Then hold your ground at every turn. And at least 3 times in the next week, when someone comes to you with their problem, listen, empathize, and say, I'm sure you'll figure it out. You'll love the feeling and the weight that will be immediately lifted from your shoulders each time you say it. Try it out. And lastly, and maybe most importantly, this week, schedule a block of time or 2, or if you really want to kick butt, 3 short blocks of time where you are productively unproductive. Time to do nothing. Time to just sit and think or Not even that. Time enough to let the lid off the pot so a little steam can escape and that frenetic energy can drain out of your head and body. The challenge is to schedule it, then do it, then stick to it. Give it a go and let me know how it goes. Pop onto our private Facebook group and describe your experience there. In the next session, we're going to attack probably the biggest productivity crushing behaviors that you have. We did a survey with the ambitious achievers before they came to the summit, and this was the top of the list. That's what's up in the next session.